We'll get into it in a second. But you got me fired up now, Lucas, because it's something that we've been talking about. Just try to wrap your mind around the idea that you are not something that just comes. You're not something that just exists, and then all of a sudden now you don't exist any longer. Wrap your mind around that. And that would change the way that you look at things. That would change the understanding that you have about life and what this really means. Now, all of a sudden, your life begins to have some type of purpose. Now you understand why you're here. You and I were not here to work jobs. You were not here to earn money. We weren't designed and formed by Yah so we can celebrate pagan holidays and Christmas and Easter and Thanksgiving and Halloween. You weren't born to be oppressed constantly. You weren't born and made and formed so all the work that you do with your hands is meaningless at the end of the day. People brag. I went to a funeral yesterday. It was my uncle's funeral. And, the man had a very interesting life. He had a very fruitful life, compared with the things of the world is very fruitful. He worked, he had a business, all these different types of things. Doesn't matter what he did. He lived the life that he wanted to live. He went to certain places. He had a life of a family and children and grandchildren and a wife and all these sorts of things. Just like all of us, to some degree or another. And we're put here not just to do those things, but we're only brought here so we can see the magnificence of our Creator. All praise be given to Yahweh. Yahweh, Toda Rabbah for Yom Shabbat. Thank you for this day, Yah. Thank you for all the work that you have done in your 6 days. And now have you rested on the 7th day. All praise be given unto you and you alone. For you are the creator of the heavens and the earth and all that dwells therein. Yahweh, you are the king of the universe. Yahweh, you have provided food, clothing, and shelter for all of us, including all your creation. You have fed us. You have been merciful to us. You've given us breath. You've given us fresh water, Yahweh. You protected us. You clothed us. You filled our stomachs. Yes, we may have some issues with our bodies, and some of us may be sick, and some of us may not have the things that we actually think that we need, Yah. But you've been here for us, and you have spoken to us, and you've had mercy on us, and we thank you today for that. Hallelujah, Wah. Hallelujah, Wah. Hallelujah, Wah. Hallelujah, Wah. Praise the mighty Yah. So it's this life that you and I have that we need to take note of. We're coming to the end of our Torah cycle. We're coming to this end. Just wanted to pause on me, huh? Okay, well, let's see here. Do it again. Let me see if it'll pause on me now. Okay, you're sharing your screen. Come on. I really don't need these breaks. I really. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right, wonderful. So, we're coming to the end of this Torah cycle, and it's not by accident that we come to a place where Moshe now has the total house of Israel, all 12 tribes and those who have joined themselves to Israel, from those who are cutting their wood and drawing their water, their men, their women, their children, their servants, even people that were there that they've also conquered along the way. Remember, they went into Keshbon and they went into Bashan and they killed those kings and they've taken those women. Don't forget that the young women that they got from Moab or Midian, when they brought them there, and how they've taken them and they killed all the males. These people were among these people. And they understood that now we're standing before the Most High. And now he's saying that I want you to be my people. And you need to accept me, and you're accepting me as your Elohim. And so they were standing there. And then also, too, this was a double portion this week that talked about how Moshe went. So there was a time when he gave his instructions to them in chapter number 29 and chapter number 30. So this has to do with chapter number 29 and chapter number 30. Chapter number 31, it says, and he went. So there was a little break in the conversation. Okay, there was a little break. And after he had this break, he took a break from talking to him. Again, it was the same day. It was today. It was one day. And on this day, it was Moshe's birthday. And Moshe was what? 120 years old. He's talking to them on his birthday. And on his birthday, on the day of his birth, okay, he wasn't celebrating it, right? He was out giving instruction, and he was letting them know that this is what it's going to be, right? And also, too, on this very same day, the day that he was 120 years old, and we can verify this in scripture, that he actually tells them, and he was told and informed that he was going to die, which we would know. Most High said, you're going to go to sleep. You're going to go to sleep. So I need you to go ahead and I need you to tell them what I need them to know, because as you go on to your sleep, they're going to have to go, and they're going to have to take on the cross this Jordan, and they're going to have to go and live in the manner that I told him. We're going to cover a few different things today, and we're asking the Most High to open our understanding. In your Torah portion in the book of Devarim 29:29, it says, things which are hidden belong to Yahweh, our Elohim. But those things that have been revealed belong to us and our children forever. Okay, that's an adolam. That means forever. Throughout time, there's no distinct end. Okay, there's no ending. Okay, so that we can observe all the words of the Torah. Things have been given to us, and there's things that Yah has concealed away from us, and there's things that Yah is going to reveal to us. And anything that he reveals to us, it is only for the purpose of us observing and guarding and doing the instructions that he has given to the children of Israel. Okay, so one of the things I want to share with you is what are the things that were being revealed. As you've been taught before, that your future is your past. Your future is your past. Whatever you've done, okay, in today, because today will be your past, that's exactly what you're going to have. Okay, so your past is your future. If you don't make any investments today, you won't have nothing in the future, which is, anything besides today. Okay, if you're not following the Torah today, you're not going to follow it in the future. If you're not exercising today and trying to eat better, you're not going to have better health in the future. If you don't study, then you're going to be unlearned. Okay, so what I've learned over the last week or so is that the Most High wants to tell us the future. He wants us to know the future. He tells us the future, and sometimes we get this idea of what future means about prophecy, right? That's a big word for everybody, prophecy. That which is uncovered, that which has been revealed. And so a lot of us are waiting for a prophecy. That's what the New Testament has now designed. The mind is to look for a prophecy. They're always in expectation of something happening in the future, but they won't look at anything that's been revealed to them now. That's the difference between us and the rest of the world. The rest of the world is looking for something to happen. You and I are in that moment right now. Your future is your present. It is what you're doing right now, because what you're doing right now is your past. You can look back on it. This week when you read your Torah portion, that's something you can look back on. That's your future. You made an investment into yourself this week, okay? So Yah is going to tell you the future. And he reveals the future from the past, okay? When the time that all these things, and he's talking to a group of individuals is standing before him, like I told you earlier this week, which happens to be the souls of those who were standing there, have come upon you, what? Both the blessing and the curse, which have been presented to you. It was interesting that there's no blessings, there's no plurality here. There are no curses, which are plurality. He says the blessing and the curse. That's which has I presented to you. Okay, so I might give you a list of things that are going to be beneficial to you, but it's going to fall under the heading of a blessing. It's something that God's going to give. And if I tell you that you're cursed in all areas, then I'm going to explain to you what all these curses are. Okay, there's no way that you could be blessed and cursed at the same time. It doesn't work like that. And you are there among the nations to which Yahweh Elohim has driven you. Then at last you will start thinking, right? I looked that word up and there's not a word there for think. It's not word of planning. It's none of these things about planning and thinking and weaving thoughts together. It's not there. This word talks about shuv. It talks about returning, something that you're caused to do. So here it makes it seem like you're the one, like, for example, you're the one who's going to cause this to happen. Like you're going to start thinking. You will start thinking. That's not true. You're going to be caused, according to the scriptures, to turn back, not think. You're going to start caused to turn. You're going to turn. And you're going to turn what? What do we usually turn when we turn? What's the first thing that you got to turn to go in a certain direction? What's the first thing you got to turn? Do you turn your body? What do you turn?
Head.
You turn your head, which is your face. You're going to turn your face. And when you turn your face, you're turning your eyes. And when you turn your eyes, you're looking in another direction. You're looking at them. You're making observations, which is knowledge. You start getting new information. The turn that Yah's saying, I need you to turn and look in the opposite direction that you've been going. Okay? And only way I can make that clear to us, because this is about us understanding what Yah is talking about, is that he's saying that, and you've seen me give this illustration before, is that he's literally telling us that one time you're going this way, and I'm asking you to go and stop and then turn around and go this way. This is your past. That's where you came from. And then you're going here. And you think you're going towards your future. And you're going straight and linear. Over here is the east. Because that's where you come from. And then you're coming over here to the west. So you think, like God told us earlier this week, that I know what you have in mind. I know that you want to turn from this Eastern mindset and you're going over to be like everyone else. That's why I sent you to the West. I sent you away from your home because I want you to understand that I need you to turn from somewhere. It's not only I want you to turn from something. I need you to turn from somewhere. Because this has to do with you going back home. And your home is in your past, which is in Hebrew, your future. This is your future, is your home. And the only way you can get back home is by turning back towards your home. And so what I'm going to do for you, Israel, is I'm going to cause you to turn. I'm going to start talking to you. I'm going to get you to start thinking about what has happened to you in that sense of returning. And you will return perfectly to me, to Yahweh your Elohim. And you will pay attention, which is our Hebrew word of Shema. I want you to Shema. I want you to listen to what he has said, past tense, which is in your past. Past tense, which is your future. They go hand in hand because the past, the present, and the future is all in Yah's timing, which is eternal. Yah is past, present, and future. Yah is eternal. And because you are an eternal people, you have to turn back towards your past. You have to turn back because your past is your future and everything in between. So everything that Yah has said will be exactly what I'm commanding you to do today. You, your children, with all your heart and all your being. I looked at this and asked the question, well, what is it that we're supposed to be doing while we're in our exile? And all I found here in this passage was the command for you and I to turn back to Yahweh with all of our mind. People ask, well, what about the offerings? How do you atone for your offering? How do you atone for your sin? Yah never asked you to atone for your sin. All he's asked for us to do is to return. Shuv back to Yahweh with your mind. Return to Yahweh with all of your being. Your mind is your thoughts, your words, and your actions. Your being is your appetites, whether it's for food, sex, or whatever it may be, pleasure. That's a lot that Yah's asking for. He's asking for your total person. And there's no way that you're going to be able to return to Yahweh with a half mind or a half heart or not all your being, some of what you want to give to the Most High. He's not going to accept it because Yah is telling you your future. When we look, our children too, it seems that there's no limit. Yes, let's see, Azania says with our children too, it seems there's no age limit. Can you respond? Absolutely. There's no age limit. There's no age limit on your children. Some of our children will listen and some won't. But those are the souls that the Most High says that you, when I spoke to you, you didn't listen to what I said. Therefore, I'm going to pay you back and the crime and all the crimes of your ancestors prior. The group of people that were in your family that decided that they didn't want to listen to me. I'm not going to forgive them. I'm not. That's what he tells us. Devarim 31-2. This is a future, and they call it a prophecy, but I say it's right now. This is where you are. You are right now. You and I are in Deuteronomy 31-2. This is where we are right now. This is our status where we are right now. Verses 3, 4, 5, all the way down to the end. We're not there yet because it talks about Yah gathering the children of Israel. So right now, our focus and our should be on returning to Yah. And that's what we're going to talk about today. But when one decides that they're going to return back to the Most High, and they're going to return to do what he asked him to do, it requires power and it requires courage. You need courage in order to turn back to Yah. You need power to turn back to Yah. This cannot be a half-hearted effort. This can't be a lackadaisical movement. This can't be a very lethargic, move back to the Most High. You and I have to turn back to him with power and with courage. In the face of adversity, in the face of being afraid, you need courage when you're facing your fears. A lot of us are afraid of the things that we're going to lose and the people that are going to be out of our lives or the status that we hold and the image in which people see us in. We're going to be afraid of those things. We're going to be afraid to dress the way that Yah says to dress, to separate yourselves. You're going to be afraid to be able to say no when someone offers you something that is unclean. You're going to need courage and power to be able to make this change. Moshe told this to Yehoshua in our Torah portion. He said, be strong and be bold. You're going to bring this people into the land Yahweh swore to their ancestors that he would give them. Why is he telling us this? Because he was afraid. He was afraid to take on the responsibility of bringing these people into the land. Well, Akika, I'm not bringing anybody into the land, so what are you talking about? I'm not bringing anybody into the land. No, what you're trying to do is return back to your land. You got to lead yourself to your destination. You have to have the same strength and boldness that Yehoshua had in order to go back home. Because what it has to happen is he needs to understand that Yah is with him. This is what Moshe told him. But also, too, he not only got that word from Moshe, Yah confirmed his word himself. Yah also commanded Yehoshua, the son of Nun, with these words, be strong, be full of courage, for you are to bring the people of Israel into the land in which I swore to them. I will be with you. You're going to need strength and you're going to need courage to do what Yah's asking us to do, which is to turn with all of your mind and all of your soul. And he did not mention resources. He didn't say any resources, meodika. He said, lavavika nafshika. That's what I'm looking for from you and your children. I'm not asking you for a bull or a goat. I'm not asking you for anything that you don't possess. Y'all would never ask a person for something that they don't have. I didn't ask you for some unseen faith about somebody who died over 2,000 years ago and claimed that they're my son, and I would kill the innocent so you can walk away free and you can forget about what I told you. I'm not asking you for no money, and I'm not asking you for no career, no status, no title. I'm asking you for that which you possess, that I've given to you, that I know that you have it. But you need strength and you need courage in order to give it to me. Our ancestors were afraid to go into that land. They were afraid when Yah showed up at Mount Sinai and he was talking to them. They were afraid of Yah, and they were scared and shaking in their boots because they knew that they didn't want to do what Yah said. They didn't even have the courage to stand in front of the Most High Yah. They cowered down and they went away. So in order to do the work that Yah's telling us, if I'm telling you need courage, then I don't want you to be a coward like your ancestors, the ones who've turned and abandoned me because they were afraid of what I asked them to do. They were afraid to tell their children what I said. They were afraid to lose their friends and their family. They were afraid that things would be different, that they would come into another lifestyle. They were afraid of what you would call to be free. So over time, what they've done is now said that I'm oppressing you now by giving you the laws, the statutes, and the commandments to help set you free from oppression. So it won't allow you to oppress people and do the widow, the fatherless, and the stranger wrong, and to give to the Levite what I asked you to give to them. Either you're going to have courage or you're going to be a coward, one of the two. You and I were told this week, on the contrary, down in that chapter number 30, on the contrary, the word is close, it's very close to you. It's in your mouth, even in your mind. Because they'd ask the question, well, who can go and cross over? Who could go to the heavens for us? Who could go to the heavens for us and get this word from Yah? Who could go and cross over the sea to bring it to us so we can hear it and do it? It's always about hearing it, and it's always about doing it. And he's saying that you have no excuse. It's in your mouth. I put it in your mouth. And if I put it in your mouth, you can speak it. If I put it in your mouth, you can taste it and you can eat it and you can live off of it like your ancestors did when they were walking in the wilderness when I gave them manna to eat. Because man should not live by bread alone, but every word. And Yah has given that word and he's placed it in our mouths. You don't have to search for it. It's already there. It's in your mind. It's there. Y'all planted it there. And because it's in your mind, meaning it's planted in your mind, you have access to it. And you can do it. But only if you and I will shuv. Only if we would return to Yah. Only if we would change the direction that we're going. Only if we would change course. Only if we would allow ourselves to change the direction that we've been walking. Only if we would listen to the instructions that Yah has given to put us back on the correct path. And as we're making our way back to our home, and as we're returning back to Yah, and as we're making this turn, as we go back, we're seeing these places where our ancestors made their mistakes. And we go through those mistakes and we look at them and we say, we need to correct that. Check, I did that. I don't want to do what they're doing anymore. Check, I did that. I'm not eating this anymore. Check, I'm not listening to this anymore. Check, I'm not worshiping other gods. You're going through a checklist of things and you're not letting nothing go by you no more because you're paying attention. As I went yesterday to this repast and they had it at a restaurant, I said, I'm the first one there. I left the service early just so I can go find out where I need a good parking spot. I know a lot of people are going to come. Hundreds of people are going to be there. So I know there's not a lot of parking spaces. So I decided, well, let me leave early, just a few minutes. Everyone's doing all their talking. That's great. But let me go find a place where I can park. Let me go find a location. When I get to the restaurant, there's nobody in there except for me. The first thing I asked them is, how do you prepare your food? How do you prepare your food? Are you using any type of lard, pork products, or whatever? No, mister, such and such. We're not doing that. No, da-da-da-da. I built relationships. I asked people what their names were. Everybody I talked to, hey, so what's your name? They told me their name, and I repeated their name to them. And every time I saw them and they brought me something, I used their name. They had a smile on their face. Told them the chips were too salty. Can you just bring me a cup of guacamole? They did. But it's about me examining. It's about me understanding that when I'm making this turn and I'm making this transition to what Yah wants me to be, I'm going to have to start asking some questions. So on your way back, returning to Yah, you do not need to be walking back aimlessly like you don't know what's going on. You need to start asking some questions. And you need to start examining your environment and the people that you're around. Use wisdom. Because you are Elyon, because you are eternal. This is what Yah is asking from his people. This word shuv has a parent root. This is the parent root. 2 letters, a root. We found in our Torah portion, it talks about this root of what you call a sheresh. This is what you found in there. So not let there be among you a man, woman, family, tribe, whose heart turns. Not return, turns. Talking about a person's face. Away today from Yahweh, your Elohim, to go and serve gods of those nations. Let there not be, or no, let there no be, let there no be, not be, a letter's missing, not be among you a root. This sheresh, this parent, this thing that's inside of you that's bearing such bitter poison and wormwood. What he's talking about is turning your face away from the Torah, turning your face away from Yah, walking in a whole nother direction, a whole nother path. There's only 2 paths on this life, or in this life. It's walking the path of Yah or walking your own path. And we find that the Most High Yah says that he will not forgive him. So this idea that he's a loving God and he's always forgiving of the New Testament and he's going to let it slide, he's not going to let it go. That word forgive means to salach, means to send away. Yah's not going to let this with you and I or any of us who have decided to do this to let them walk away. Not when you are connected to Yah. Not when you have been exposed to the words of the Torah. Not when you've seen the great fire on Mount Sinai. Not when you tasted the bread, the manna from heaven, the bread that the angels ate. You're not going to be able to walk away from Yah without being in trouble. You and I can't turn from Yah, not without a consequence. You understand? You and I are not able to do this. The first letter of that parent root is a shin. That's the name of the letter, which represents the two teeth. You might get the idea of the two teeth because the ancient letter that actually describes this, the picture graph, looks like this. Two teeth. You see? And so over time, they designed it to look like this when it was really this. Two teeth. The front two teeth. And when you have these two teeth, you're using them to do something with. What do you use your teeth for?
To eat, to chew.
To eat, to chew, and to press. So part of this letter means the two teeth. It means to press. So you're pressing on something. It's your two teeth. When you bite into an apple, you use the back of your teeth, use the front of your teeth, your two front teeth. When you bite into something, to rip and to tear and to press upon something is putting pressure. The next letter that's part of that root is a bet. And you and I know what this means. It means a tent or a dwelling. It has to do with the family. And so what it is this root has the idea of press towards the home, press towards the family. So this is the parent root of the word of return or shuv. That's the reason why the Most High is using this word to describe what he will cause for you and I to do. Meaning, I'm going to cause you, he said, to start thinking. I'm going to cause you to turn your mind where you'll start thinking about home. Oh, praise be to Yahweh. Yes, you have your own home. Yes, you have your own land. Yes, you might be a people without a home and a land in this place, but I got a home for you, and I have a land for you, and I have a destination for you that I made for you, the best of all lands on the face of the earth that's fit for you and only you. It hasn't been designed for those who won't follow the Torah. I need to turn your mind back towards home. And the only way you can do that is through the Torah. That's the only way. Because I want you to return to Yahweh. I want you to return to Yahweh. That's what Moshe was telling us. I want you to return. Yah wants you to return back to him. You understand? So you're in a process right now. And once we go through that process, then you and I can return to the family. Return to Reuven. Return to Shimeon. Return to Levi. Return to Yehuda. Return to God. Return to Yissachar. Return to Asher, Naphtali, Yosef, Binyamin, Manasseh, Ephraim. Return. Zivulun. Return. All the whole entire family. Yah's not just doing this here in the United States of America. He's not just doing it in Canada. He's not just doing it in London. He's doing it all over the world right now. And you and I are part of that. But as you know, with every turn and every change of direction, there's going to be a problem. There's always going to be a problem. There's always going to be a challenge. And Yah has described to us the problems that Israel has had and the reason why they've been so reluctant to change course and reluctant to listen and to hear. And this is the reason why Yah says that why did Yahweh do this to this land? Yah destroyed the land, according to our Torah portion. These are questions we're asked. Why? And what was the meaning of such frenzied, furious anger? Why is this land so destroyed? Why is this anger? So everything that Yah shows through his anger, there's destruction that can be followed or be seen after Yah has done something to reflect the anger and how he feels. People will answer and answer, it's because they abandoned the covenant. That's the problem. We have what they call azuv. We have taken off and detached ourselves from the covenant of Yahweh, our Elohim. See, Yahweh is the Elohim of their fathers, which is Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. Yahweh is the Elohim of the fathers that he brought out of Mitzrayim. You see? And this is what Israel has done. They've taken off the covenant, the agreement. When he talks about this covenant, it's talking about this way, because covenant has the idea of being coming field, and also has the idea of being made clean. Okay, that's what it has to, the ideas that go with the covenant. Yah's covenant is something that's supposed to fill us, right, with our food and make us, satisfied, but also too, it's a matter of purification, because the word berith, the letters within there is called the berith. And a berith, it has these two letters right here, which is a bet and the resh. And the bet and the resh has this idea of being made clean, right? So they mean the house, and then here the head of the house, or the head of grains. And so what they would do is they would take these grains, and the grains were used, this is what covenant has to do with, grains were used to fill the person, the mankind, and to fill the animal. It would literally fatten the animal. Okay, it would fatten the animal, and it also would fill the stomachs of the people. But also too, after they would take that, they would take the some of the grains, the hulls of the grain, and they would crush it, and they would use it, and they would make soap out of the grain. You see, so the food was to fill, but the grain was also to cleanse them and use as soap, because they would burn the grains, and after they finished burning the outer part of the grain, and they would have what they would call it, I think they call it potash, potash, and they would use that potash, and then they would take that ash and they would use that as soap to clean themselves. So they had soap even in the thing. So you can see how resourceful the Most High is. So this berith of Yah is about filling, and it's also about making clean, and it's done through the food. And that's why this land is so important. So what they've done is they've abandoned the covenant and the agreement of Yahweh, the Elohim of their fathers. So the people who are saying this, or giving testimony and witness to this, are the people saying of their fathers. See, so this is what people will answer. This is what they're going to say about Israel when they look and they see what's happened to this land. And that's the reason why this destruction. But Yah says, if you turn your heart, if your heart turns away, meaning your face, and you refuse, meaning you will never listen, and if you are drawn away to prostrate yourselves before other gods and serve them, I'm announcing to you today that you will certainly perish, and you will not live long in the land, the land you are crossing the yard to enter and possess. Let me slow down. I love to read, and I read a little too quick. The idea here behind these highlighted words is to remind you that if you turn your face away from Yah, you're not going to listen to Yah, because you've already turned away your face. That's the thing. If you're not willing to open up the Torah, you're not willing to look at it and consider it, then you're refusing to listen. When he mentions this about prostrating yourselves, what he's saying is you're going to lay down, and you're going to turn your face towards that ground, because that's what you're doing. You're turning your face towards those other gods, because when you're prostrate, you're turning your face towards those gods. You understand? And what he's talking about, instead of you standing up, as I told you in the Torah portion, of standing, which is netzavim, now you're laying down. When you're standing with your face towards Yah. When you're laying down towards these other gods, you're putting your face towards the ground, towards those other gods. You see, so the covenant that we enter with the Most High is telling us that you and I have to face Yah. You got to face Yah. When they went to the mountain of Mount Sinai, they had to put their faces towards Yah. They had to see it. He wanted them to see this. But again, there's also patterns that happen. And one of the patterns that Yah wanted us to understand is that he said, when I spoke to you in your prosperity, but you said, I won't listen. And this is in Jeremiah chapter number 22, verse 21. Akika, that's not part of our Haftarah. Why is that there? Because I picked up a pattern. Yah talks to us while we're in our prosperity. Yah talks to us. We'll listen when we're in our, what you would call our distress and our oppression. That's when we call out to Yah. And it's not until we get into our prosperity that's when we don't want to listen. It's not until you have the things that you've been after that you're not going to listen. Once you obtain the things that you want, then you're not going to listen to the Most High. That's a pattern of our family. Okay. He says, but be careful not to forget. This is also not in your Torah portion, but it is in the book of Devarim. And it came to my mind where the Most High says, but be careful not to forget Yahweh your Elohim by not obeying. I put not obeying twice, not obeying his mitzvot, rulings and regulations that I'm giving you today. Otherwise, after you have eaten and are satisfied and built fine houses and live in them and increased herds, flocks, silver, gold, and everything else you own, you will become proud-hearted. And you're going to forget Yahweh. You're going to be forgetting Yahweh your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mizraim, where you lived as slaves. That's a pattern for us. Once we get the success that we desire, once we're satisfied, once we live in the houses that we want to live in, once we come to this place of what they would call complacency, and once we come to the place of we feel secured in our own things that we have around us, which are all material things, we begin to forget Yah. We put Yah in the back burner. We put the Torah in the back burner. We don't teach anymore because there's no reason to teach now, because now we're satisfied. And he's letting us know that I don't want you to get satisfied. I don't want you to get satisfied with this. You and I should not be satisfied with just fine houses. We should not be satisfied when we just eat, because our stomachs are always going to, be empty and be full. You're only going to be satisfied for a certain amount of time. Your herds and your flocks, they'll come and go. Your silver and your gold and everything else you own, they'll always come and go. But one thing that will never come and go is the Torah. And Yah is telling us that what happens is your heart, your mind, because that's what the heart is, your mind will be lifted up. You'll be puffed up. The Hebrew word right there is room. That means you will rise up. And what you're doing is you're rising up against Yah. You don't even know it. You got your college degree. You got a good paying job. You got a family. You got a nice car. You got a business. You own property. You got a fat bank account. Right? Be careful. That means that you need to be on guard not to forget Yah, because he knows how we think. And he's telling us our future. That's what he's telling us. And he's letting us know about our future in the past. These curses will be on you and your descendants as a sign and a wonder forever, because you didn't serve Yahweh your Elohim with joy and gladness in your heart when you had such an abundance of everything. Forgive the typos, everybody. I was only able to put this presentation. I have to tell you, I didn't get home till late last night. And I was like, I need to do a presentation for my people. Praise the mighty Yah. So Yah is telling us that because you didn't serve Yahweh with joy and gladness in your mind, when you have such an abundance of everything, that's when you and I need to be careful. Because what's attached to this abundance of everything is when one can fall into the curse. And that's what happened to our ancestors. And he's telling us this because you and I are turning back to him. He's saying, now I'm going back. I need you to see this. I need you to direct your attention, because I want you to look at the curses. I want you to look at the wealth. I want you to look at everything that they did. Because what they failed to realize and recognize is that there was something greater than everything that I gave you. This has been the pattern since you were young. Yah has already told us. This has been the pattern since you were young. You pay no attention to what I say. That is the problem, everybody, is that we're not paying attention to what Yah has said. And he wants us to change that. Yahweh said to Moshe, you are about to sleep with your ancestors, going back to our Torah portion, but this people will get up and offer themselves as prostitutes to the foreign gods of the land where they're going. When they are with those gods, they will abandon me and break my covenant, which I made with them. I asked the Most High, why would you make a covenant with somebody that you know is going to break it? Why would you make a covenant with the people that you know that are going to bow down? Being a prostitute means, again, you're going to turn your face from Yah, and you're going to go down, and now you're going to do this too. You're going to lay down again. You're going to lay down again. A prostitute is what they call a zana. In this word zana, there's these two letters which are called a zayin and a nun. The zayin means to cut, like an instrument, to cut something. And this right here, the nun, is the seed. And what a prostitute does is she cuts the seed off. That's what happens. She cuts the seed. She's the one who's trying to destroy the family. This is the reason why there should not be a prostitute among the daughters of Israel or the sons of Israel. Because what you're going to do is you're going to destroy the seed. And what the Most High is saying here is not only in this form of a physical prostitution, what he's talking about is a spiritual prostitution. So when you cut off the seed and you have this attitude of a prostitute, because that prostitute is one who has a different attitude. A prostitute is one who has a different mindset. So the mindset of a prostitute is she doesn't care about nobody but herself. She's only concerned with her what? Pleasure. So Israel is a bunch of prostitutes. One guy got pretty offended when I told him this. Yah married a prostitute. Just like he told Hosea, marry a prostitute, which is indicative of the children of Israel. Why? Because I want to show you what Israel is going to do. Israel is about pleasure, and they don't care about the family. And a person who follows another god is a prostitute. So those who are following anyone else except for Yahweh or the gods that our fathers have never known, which is Yohe Wahe, then they have a different type of mindset. And then what their mindset is that I'm only concerned about how I feel and what I'm going to get out of it. But the Most High calls Israel a done prostitute. You're the prostitute that doesn't get paid. You're the prostitute who pays other people. That's how you are. Okay. So this mindset of a prostitute is one that is connected directly to foreign gods. And a foreign god is any other god besides Yahweh. So don't cut off. And what he's talking about too, about cutting off the seed, is that you listen to me carefully. If he's talking about being a zanah, and he's talking about cutting off the seed, and he's talking about laying down for these other gods, the seed that you are receiving, okay, and the seed that you're cutting off, because a prostitute is not necessarily the one who's about family, right? So she's cutting off the seed. The seed that she's cutting off, okay, from the standpoint of us being Israel, the seed that we're cutting off is the ability to teach Yah's children. And that's the problem. When there's prostitution involved, the children are the ones who are going to suffer, because now you're giving those children over to those gods. You see? So the children, instead of them learning about the Most High, they're learning about Santa Claus, and they're learning about the Easter Bunny, and they're learning about Halloween, and they're learning about, the gods of this nation. They're learning about all these other gods. They're learning about these other gods. And so you're teaching those children. So prostitution, the Most High said that that's what you're going to do. So Most High is telling Israel their future. So really, to be honest with you, there's no reason or excuse why Israel should be doing what they're doing. because they've already been told. Okay. Devarim 31:17, then my anger will flare up and I will abandon them and hide my face from them. Just like you abandoned me and you cast me off, and just like you hid your face from me, I'm going to hide my face from you. Measure for measure. Remember earlier this week, we learned that Shaul, the king, he wanted to consult the Most High, and so did the children of Israel in the book of Ezekiel. They wanted to consult the Most High, and the Most High said, I'm not going to allow you to consult me. You're not going to consult me. You're not going to look for advice from me. So again, if you abandon Yah and you turn your face from him, he is going to abandon you and he's going to turn his face from you, just like you did to him. So now we see that the Elohim that we serve, the Elohim of our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the Elohim of Mount Sinai, the one who took the children of Israel out of Misraim, is not the Elohim, or what some would say the God, who just forgets. Or he doesn't, his grace and his mercy will allow him just to sit there and take it. He doesn't do that. Yah is an Elohim of justice, and he's an Elohim of righteousness. And so whatever you and I do, then he'll do. Going back to what I said initially, if you and I will listen to Yah, then he'll listen to you. If you would turn to Yah, he said, I'll turn to you. Okay. He said, they will be devoured and many calamities and troubles will come upon them. And then they will ask, haven't these calamities and troubles come upon us because our Elohim isn't there with us? So how does he know what questions they're going to ask? How does he know that they're going to be the ones who are going to leave him? How does he knows the future? That's what he's telling us, that they're going to be prostitutes. They're going to abandon me. He's telling, I'm going to flare up against them. So when we say that the Most High doesn't know and he doesn't understand what's going on, it's a terrible thing. Must have heard from Moshe to hear from Yah right at the end. Yeah, there you go. I'll read what Lucas wrote. He wrote to everybody. It must have hurt from Moshe to hear that from Yah right at the end, that this work was all for nothing. It appears that way. But in chapter number 32, which we're going to get to later on next week, Most High gives us a promise. Right? So yeah, what a birthday message, right? What a day to let him know. The day I'm telling you, you're going to die, the day that I let them out of the wilderness and I've been with them for over 40 years and dealing with their problems. And you're going to tell me now that this is what it's going to be. So Yah knows our future. He's telling us that I know you. 31, but I will be hiding my face from them because of all the evil they will have done in turning to other gods, meaning turning your face. Again, not turning to Yah, or not turning from these gods, but turning to them. Remember, this whole Torah portion is about standing and walking. Okay. So now where Yah is saying that you've done this to me, this is what has to happen for you. Okay. Again, the idea behind the word shuv is about to return, to be brought into restoration. And so therefore Yahweh Elohim says this, now I will return. This is found in the prophet of Ezekiel. I will return. The word return right there is shuv. And that word shuv is directly connected to a captive. When he talks about returning, only a captive is the one who's going to return, because the captive is the one who was led away from their home out to the west. And I'm going to bring them back, like he tells us in our Torah portion, I'm going to bring you back. He says, I will return the captive of Yaakov. The captives. Okay. I just forgot. I actually changed this word and put it in its proper translation. I think it was return to that's what it was. If you look in the complete Jewish Bible, it doesn't have the word captive there. They actually replaced it with fortunes, which I thought was pretty odd, because he said, now I return the fortunes of Yaakov. I was like, well, that sounds really nice. I've said that before, but let me go read it in Hebrew and see what it says. It says, I'm going to return the captives. I'm not returning the fortunes. I'm returning the captives. You understand? Of Yaakov. And that's talking about the 12 tribes of Israel. Not a few, not one, all of them. And have compassion. That's from, like, when he talks about the womb, I'm going to have compassion like a woman would have on a child, on the entire house of Israel, all 12 tribes. And I will be jealous for my Kadosh name, my set apart name. So it's not that the Most High is saying I'll return the fortunes. He said, I'm going to return the captives. So now we see that the Most High is doing something different. He said, yeah, I'm going to hide my face, but I'm also going to turn. I'm going to return. Again, letting us know that, like I said, we're in Deuteronomy chapter 30, 1 through 2. That's where we are right now. So Yah begins in verse number 3 talking about returning. So what's the good news? It's not the gospel of JC. It's not Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. The good news is that you and I are at a place where we understand that the movement that you and I have made in the course of direction that we have been caused to make means that Yah is coming and Yah is about to return. Yah is about to return. I changed this word too, because they said that they will bear their shame in Ezekiel 39. I'm telling you, the language is important, even to understand the verb tenses. They said they will bear. If you look at it in any other scripture, it's going to say they will bear, they will bear. That's present. And that means future. They will bear. Will. Will means future. They will bear their shame. But guess what? When I read it, it wasn't will. It was a past. It means past tense. They carried their shame. You and I are not going to bear shame and guilt when we go back home. You're going to feel it before you go. You're going to have a big cry when you get out to the wilderness and he shows you everything that you and I have been doing. But when you go back to the land, you're not going to bear this any longer, because this is why you're bearing it now. You're carrying it right now. You carried it. So on us right now is shame, and there's also this guilt. When we are going back home, we were taken captive. Let me put this right here. When you're taken captive, you're in chains and you're going over here and you were sent over here to the west. Now on your way, and look, you've been bearing this shame and this guilt the whole time while you were coming here. And then you didn't know it, because you woke up in chapter number 30, verse number 1 and 2. He says, when it's caused to come back, when you would choose and return to your mind. Now that it's returning to your mind, because all of a sudden it's been put out of your mind, the Most High says now in Deuteronomy chapter number 30, 1 through 2, you are now starting to shuv. I'm going to turn you now. Now you started to turn. Now that you're coming back, Yah says now that you've been bearing this while you were on your way, right, the whole time, but also too, I need you to bear it now too. I need you to recognize it. I need you to give attention to your shame. I need you to acknowledge it now, because when you were leaving captivity and you went all the way over here, you were just carrying it. You weren't really sorry. You were sorry because you got put out of the land, but you really weren't sorry. Now that I brought it to your attention, now you're supposed to look at the shame and understand the guilt. When you're going through trouble, you're not thinking about the guilt and the shame. You're just experiencing all the bad things. That's all. It's not until these things have subsided and you have an opportunity to return to Yah, that now he says, I want you to give your full attention. I want you to pay attention now to this. I want you to pay attention to the shame and the guilt that you have been bearing, and I want you to understand why. I don't want you to just go through life and be this person with your head down and feeling shame and feeling guilt. I want you to understand the shame, and I want you to understand the guilt. And as Christianity has come along and told you there's no more shame and there's no more guilt because Christ paid it all, while you're still in your shame and while you're in your guilt. And we know that this is a lie, because you still haven't accepted your shame and your guilt, like he tells us in Leviticus chapter number 26. It's not until you and I admit and confess that we have gone against Yah that you will not begin to feel the shame and feel the guilt. You were sent in exile to admit and confess so you can feel the shame and feel the guilt and understand why it happened. So you can change your mind, your course of action, because your mind is going to determine your actions. Now, do you understand why the Most High has sent us into exile? So when someone hands you a relief package called Christ and the Gospels in the New Testament, you now, that what that does, it alleviates the pain and it alleviates the shame. And you say, well, I don't have to feel that shame. You talk to somebody right now, they didn't want to talk about being Israel. They don't want to talk about the Torah because they don't want to have to look at the shame and they don't want to have to look at the guilt. What they're trying to do is they're constantly trying to escape it. Ezekiel 39 continues to say, this will be after I brought them back. That word brought right there means, again, it's not hotzithika. I looked it up. It has to do with our word that we've been studying the whole time, shuv. A shin, a wa, and a bet. Right here. When I return them. It's not when I brought them, when I return them back from the peoples. Because that's the goal. And gather them out of all the enemy's lands. These are not your lands, these are your enemy's lands. Thereby having shown my kadosh set apartness through them in the sight of many nations. When Yahweh returns us and he gathers us out of our enemy's lands, he says, now I'm going to show my set apartness because my name is on these people. So when I bring these people out from among these nations, the nations are going to see it. And then in their sight, in their eyes, and they're going to be like, uh-oh, these people are different. These are the set apart people. These are Yahweh's people. Okay? These are Yahweh's people. I'll say it again. These are Yahweh's people. These are set apart people. These people are not like us. You learn that in Ezekiel, where he says, I know what's in your mind. Your mind is you want to be like them. I know what you want to be. But I want to tell you that you're not like them. You want to be like them, but you're not like them. These people are not trying to turn to me. They're not trying to be set apart. They're not understanding the Shabbat. They're not understanding the diet. They don't understand the set apartness of my name. They're not the ones who are bearing, you better hear what he said. They're not the ones who are bearing the shame and the guilt. Show me the shame and the guilt. Show it to me. That the nations are feeling right now. They're happy. They have their culture, they have their language, they have their food, they eat their rattlesnakes, they eat their mice and their raccoons and bats. They do it all. They got their own land. They're not having to be brought back to their own land. They're living securely in their own land. They're not in their enemy's lands. If they are, they're obviously they're not their enemy. The people that are here have been taken by force. So don't forget that you're a captive. And I think that goes back to the messages my wife has been trying to get all of us to understand, because she says it all the time. Why are we not acknowledging that you're these people? If you don't understand your captivity, how are you not going to understand what's going on? How are you not going to associate yourself with the shame and the guilt? How are you not going to understand that it's because of what we did in the Torah, the reason why we're bearing the shame and the guilt? It's about returning and it's about restoration. That's what Yah is talking about. Then they will know. Then they will know that I am Yahweh, their Elohim. Since it was I who caused them to go into exile among the nations. Same chapter. And it was I who regathered them to their own land. Talking about the 12 tribes of Israel. I'm the cause of it. And the cause is found in the idea of me wanting you to know. I want you to yada. I want you to know it because yada means, and forget my writing, everyone, Y-A-D-A. It means to know, but it also means to be very close, like a husband is with a wife. It's very intimate. It's like a man knowing his wife. You're not going to know that I'm Yahweh, your Elohim. You really don't know. And so what Yah is saying to us is that I want not only the nations to see this and understand it, but I want you to know it and understand it. And the only way you're going to understand it and the only way they're going to understand it is when I do this for the sake of my set apart name and when I make it happen in front of everybody's eyes. And what they're going to have to do, everyone, with their eyes is they're going to have to turn their what? Towards Yah. Somebody tell me. Got to turn your face. You got to turn your face toward Yah. So when Yah does this, he says all the nations will see it. So they're going to turn their face to Yah. You're not going to know that I'm Yahweh, your Elohim, until I brought you out. You're not going to know that. Because guess what I want you to do? I want you to see it too. So then we can finally put an end to who's Elohim. I will leave none of them there anymore, like he told us in Deuteronomy 30. I will no longer hide my face from them. So if Yah's talking about hiding his face from us, what he's saying is, I'm not looking at you. Not the way that I want to look at you. For I have poured out my spirit on the house of Israel, says Yahweh Elohim. That's when Yah is no longer hiding his face. Is when he has given us his spirit. When I pour out my spirit on them, then you'll know. Okay? What's the purpose? In conclusion, I believe, the purpose here is that Yah wants us to understand that he wants to call upon the heaven and the earth to witness against you and I today, as he did with them, that I have presented you with life and death and the blessing and the curse. Therefore, choose life so that you will live, you and your descendants. Remember, this is the purpose. Loving Yahweh your Elohim and paying attention to what he says and clinging to him like glue. For this is the purpose of your life. And on this depends the length of time you will live in the land Yahweh swore to give to you, to your ancestors. So when I looked at this, I said, okay, so there's a choice that we have to choose ourselves. And Yah puts that choice before us. He gives us life and he gives us death. Life is that which is vibrant. Life is, being free. Life is growth. Life is opportunity. Life are all these different things. And then death, of course, is to be gone, right? Nothing grows. Everything is stagnant. There's a clear distinction. And then he mentions that this is a purpose. So our life's choices is based upon what our purpose is, right? So I looked at this and said, okay, what's the purpose? And I know in Hebrew, the word purpose is ma'an, or lama'an. This word called lama'an. It means the intention. Yeah, what is the intention of your life? And so I was satisfied with that. And then I read it in Hebrew and something else came up, which tells us something that's different. Okay. So remember, we opened this teaching with the secret things or the hidden things belong to Yah. But those things that have been revealed or uncovered belong to us and our children forever, so that we might be able to observe the Torah. So if that's the case, then there must be something hidden that Yah wants to be revealed. And what Yah has revealed, everyone, is this. Yah is not talking about the life and the death of what you and I think what life and death is. Yah is not talking about the life and the death of, dying, going to the grave. He's not talking about that. He's not talking about that. Yah is not talking about the life that you and I understand as life. He's not talking about that either. Okay. He's not saying that this is the purpose of your life. That's the English translation. That's for somebody who just wanted to put the words in there what they thought was supposed to be put in there. He's not talking about that. Yah has revealed something about that you and I didn't know. Okay. The revelation is this. Is found in the Hebrew scriptures. Okay. What's found in the scriptures is, and I'll explain it to you, is that this is mean two. This word ahava means, somebody tell me what ahava means, if you can remember. Ahava. What does that mean?
Love.
Love. So to love, and then he's pointing direct object marker or arrow towards Yahweh, which Yahweh is your Elohim. That's what Yahweh wants you to do. He wants you to love him. Okay. And he wants you to, and this word here again is two. And this word Shema, somebody tell me what Shema means?
Listen.
Listen, thank you. listen and obey. Okay, so we got love and listen. Okay, and then Bokolo means his voice. Okay, that's his voice. But his voice is here. These two letters right here means gather. I got to write that better because that's not fair to you guys. Hold on. Because if I want to explain the secret, I have to be able to do it good. Let me see here. This letter right there means gather. I know it means voice, but I'm going to give you the net letters mean, and that means staff, or what they would call authority. Okay, and then this right here means him or his. Okay, so what he wants us to do is to love Yahweh, okay, and only him. The arrow is pointing directly to Yahweh. That's what this is. This means an arrow. So, and what it means is also too, if you point an arrow, you got to use your eyes and you have to make it a target because those are the arrows. So you're going to point your target towards Yahweh. Okay, that's what it is. And so you're going to shoot, and you have to direct this love towards something. Okay, because it not only means to, but it means towards. Not just to, but to means towards, like you're going in that direction. Okay. So what I want you to do is I want you to direct your love towards the direction of Yahweh. That's what I want you to do, your Elohim. Okay. And then I want you to do that. I want you to be towards listening to his voice. And his voice means to gather to the staff, gather to the authority. Okay. His authority is the Torah, which includes the Mishpatim, the Kukim, the Moedim, the decrees of the Most High. Okay. So all that right there. Okay. And then we're going to go to the second line. Let me get rid of this. Because it's a lot of, I'm sorry for all the writing, but I have to write it for you. So don't forget the target. Okay. Put that right there because I want you to see this word. All right. So we got the target. And our target is Yah. That's where I want you to direct all your attention towards. And towards, that's what that lament means. Devakwa, okay. Devakwa means glue. Okay, I need you to glue yourself, not to, but on. And then that hey right there, I mean that wa right there again is him. So I want you to direct your love towards me. I want you to shoot your love towards me in the direction of me. I want you to listen to the voice and authority when he gathers, because the staff of gathering means that you and I must be his sheep, or we must be that of his flock. And those who are the sheep and those who are the flock will listen to the voice of the shepherd. Okay. That's what the voice is the voice of the shepherd. And so the shepherd is calling to us, and we're directing our love towards him. We're listening to him, and we're gluing ourselves and attaching ourselves on him, not to him, on him. So it's very intimate. Okay. And this word means because or for. This is your secret. The secret is this word, because this is nothing that was just taken out of our last sentence or English that says that you're to love Yahweh Elohim and to listen to his voice and cling to him. For this is the whole purpose of your life. I told you they put that word purpose there, but that word purpose is this word here. It's not purpose. That word right there is he. That's what who means. You can verify. He is your kayaka. And the kayaka is life, and meaning your life. Okay. So the secret is that Yah is letting us know that the only way that a person can live, and I need you to hear me and hear me well. That's why I'm talking real calm. I know I get crazy sometimes, but I'm telling you right now, the Torah is your lifeline to real life. The Torah will allow you to continue to live. The Torah, the secret that Yah has hidden is the fact that a person who keeps the Torah is the one who will continue to live throughout time and throughout eternity, because the Torah is eternal. The eternal Torah was designed for eternal people. So what you're giving up in exchange for idol worship or turning your face against Yah, and this is the reason why he won't forgive you, is because what you're turning away is literally him. Yah's voice is Yah's Torah. That's the secret. Yah's voice is the Torah. Yah's voice is the instruction. Okay, so this is what he uses to talk to us. He uses the Torah to instruct us. Because if you and I will listen to him, then you're listening to him, then he is your life. As long as you and I continue to do what he's saying, then you and I could continue to live throughout time, throughout eternity with him. So as I told you earlier, when we read this week, where he says, Moshe told the children of Israel, think about it. You've been living out here in the wilderness for 40 days. Your feet never swelled up. Your clothes never wore out. You never ate any bread. You ate Malachim's bread. He wanted them to think. Okay. They weren't ready to hear it. So now, and he even told us in Deuteronomy 29 that Yah had not given them eyes to see yet. But Yah is opening our eyes to let us know what the secret is. The secret is that if you don't keep the Torah, then you don't get to live. When man had fallen in the Garden of Eden, they took of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And the Most High put them out of the garden so they wouldn't take of the tree of life. So they would end up living forever. So they were never going to live forever. Okay. They were never going to live forever. They were going to die anyway. They just didn't have the knowledge of it. So what he's telling us here is that, okay, so in spite of man doing this and breaking that intimacy and that opportunity to live for eternity, right? He didn't eat of that tree. He ate of the tree I told him not to. So the tree that, and we understand, and I think it's some scripture, it talks about how the Torah is the tree of life. But Yah doesn't want us to live in a state of uncleanness or a state of a rebellion and in a state of idolatry. And this is the reason why he hasn't given this to anyone else. He's given this gift to Israel. And anybody who joins himself to Israel can partake in this gift because this gift is eternal. So the secret is that Yah is your life. And if you don't listen to Yah, you're not going to live. That's why he said, I said two ways before you, life and death. He ain't talking about just food, clothing, and shelter. He ain't talking about being buried because Moshe was about to die. He's about to go to sleep. So the life and the death that he's talking about is one of eternal life. And the other one is eternal death. So we don't have to wait for the New Testament to provide eternal life. You and I, because they changed the paradigm, they changed the understanding of what eternal life is. So just think about this: the Greeks and the Romans, they desired to be close and have this for themselves. So they created a God that would give eternal life. This is not something new. Even the Egyptians had an idea of eternal life, right? And so, but all their eternal life is connected to idolatry. Yah is to an image. And this is the reason why Yah didn't come in an image. This is the reason why he's never going to show up in an image. What Yah wants to know is if you and I are going to listen to his voice. That's why he's always saying, you guys are not listening to me. You guys are not listening to me. You guys are deaf. You're blind. You can't hear. You won't listen. So, and he's always telling Shema Yisrael, listen. Listen. Love Yahweh with what? All of your heart. Wa'ahavta et Yahweh Eloheka v'kol levavika uv'kol nafshika uv'kol meodika. This is the reason why he's telling us today. This Shema, listen, turn back to Yahshuv. I'll cause you to start thinking. But you still have to make that choice. So what he's letting us know, when Moshe said, I need you to choose, what he's saying, if you want to choose to live forever. He didn't put it in English terms that you and I understand called eternal life. Because it's a secret. It's not supposed to be told to a person who's not going to follow the Torah. That's why it says if a man won't listen to the Torah, it's an abomination. Even his prayer is an abomination. That's why Yah won't forgive anybody that turns to idolatry, because they're turning to someone else's voice. That's the secret. And that's what you and I stand to lose if we don't listen to Yah's voice. I've given this warning to everyone. I'm revealing the secret today because Yah revealed it to me, that listen, my voice is eternity. It's eternity. And my Torah is eternal. and you guys can't live. I'm not the purpose of your life. I am your life. That's why I'm asking you to love me with all of whatever you have, because I won't give this to anybody who doesn't love me. I'm not giving life to nobody that don't love me. I'm not going to give life. I'm not going to provide any type of teaching to anybody that's not going to listen to me and that's not going to love me. And what is love? Again, it's not an abstract term understood in the Hebraic culture. Love for us means to look towards Yah's house, to look towards his house, meaning towards the family. And if you love your family, you're going to teach them how to love Yah. And if you love your family, you're going to tell them to listen to Yah. If you love your family, you're going to tell them that he is your life. You're not going to say that this is the purpose of your life. No, you're going to tell them who is their life. There's no word right here for intent. There's no word for lama'an. That's not lama'an. That's not lama'an. That is not purpose, intent. That is none of those things. That means he is. And here means your life. He's your life, not your purpose. He is your life. And so Moshe was telling them that you got to choose. And he's saying it's the day that he's going to die. So how's he telling them to choose life, but he's going to die that day? So he's not talking about the life that you and I think or we want to accept from a religious standpoint. So Yah has given us the Torah as a way to protect us. I want to give you protection. Moshe gave them these orders, talking about to the Leviim, at the end of every 7 years, during the festival of Sukkot, in the year of Shemitah, meaning the year of release, when all Israel have come to appear in the presence of Yahweh at the place he will choose. Okay? Let me see. So true. Okay. Yes. The place that he will choose. You are to read this Torah before all Israel so they can hear it. Again, it's not where you and I, the lifeline is the place that Yah chose his Torah to be read before all Israel. In the place that Yahweh will choose to have his name. Okay? In the year of release, in Shemitah, the Sukkot is directly connected to the Feast of Tabernacles. Okay? So why is the Most High telling them and he giving them a command to read the Torah? Why? Based on what I just told you about the secret, why is the Most High saying I need you to read this every 7 years? Why is he saying assemble the people? The men, the women, the little ones, and the foreigners you have in your towns, so that they can hear, learn, fear Yahweh your Elohim, and take care to obey all this words of this Torah, and so that their children who have not known can hear and learn to fear Yahweh your Elohim as long as you live in the land you're crossing the Jordan to possess. Because that's the secret. The secret is, the Yah says the only way that a person is ever going to have this secret and learn is they got to hear it and they got to learn it to fear me. And that fear right there is to be taught, which is found in the word of Torah. That means to be pointed in the direction that Yah wants them to go. That's what I want to do. I want to, oh, what happened? I want to point them. Let me see what happened. I don't know what happened, you guys, forgive me. I want them to, I want to point them in the direction that they should go. So you and I will never be able to come to understand anything if we don't hear and we don't learn to fear Yahweh. Okay, this is what Yah is looking for us to do, is to hear it, to Shema, and to learn and to fear Yah. Okay, so the words of this Torah, because that's what the Torah is. The Torah is Yah's voice. So you are coming to hear his voice. And why is he talking to us? Because his voice is for his sheep. And his sheep are the souls. Okay, you're the souls of the people that are eternal. The Torah is not just for anybody. The Torah is for the ones who want to live. Okay, so you understand? So he's saying that if you do this, you got to do this as long as you're living, because in that land, you have to be able to do this. That goes with the land, because that's where the Most High says, I'm going to live. When he talks about learning, I want to bring this word out. The word for learn is called lamad. 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 Okay. Lamad means to learn. Okay. So this is a big part of being part of the Torah. It means to teach. To teach you what? To teach you to exercise. Okay. I want you to exercise. I think that's spelled wrong. Exercise. I want you to exercise. I want you to get into what they will call an idea of practice. That's what I want you to do. I want you to practice learning. I want you to go over it. Because if you don't continue to practice, what's going to happen is you're going to lose activity. Once you lose activity, then all of a sudden activity goes down, then use goes down. And then your quality goes down. Okay. Okay. Your strength goes down. Your outcomes don't turn out right because you're not practicing. Because what we're trying to do is we're trying to get strong. So if you don't listen to the Torah, you're going to get weak. You're not going to become strong. You're not going to sustain your ability, because activity has to do with ability. And so if you want to sustain something and you want it to remain strong enough and be firm enough, you have to practice. So in best practices, it's about learning. So just like the Hebrew language, if you don't continue and if you don't want to learn, you don't exercise your brain, which I know is a lot of exercise, your outcomes are not going to be good. It's going to be weak, and you won't be able to sustain what you've already learned. So you have to use everything in order to sustain the quality of it, right? So the Most High is letting us know that idea comes from Yah's word in terms of exercising and practicing, to put things into practice. And so if you and I are not practicing, then we're in trouble. That's just what it is. And so he wants them to practice. That word lamad comes from the letter lamed. Okay, so lamad comes from the letter lamed. Lamed means a shepherd, means a shepherd's staff. Again, having to do with authority. Also the yoke. Remember, you put the yoke on the oxen's neck and you walk with them and you teach them. So teaching and guiding, okay? And so who's our teacher? Well, look, Elohim is exalted in his strength. Who is a teacher like him? There's no one who's a teacher like the Most High. The Most High is a teacher, okay? And he wants to teach us. It says there, and listen what people have said. This is what the nations are saying. They say Yah isn't looking. The Elohim of Yaakov won't notice. Take notice yourselves, you bores among people, you fools. When will you understand? Will the one who planted the ear not hear? Will the one who formed the eye not see? Will the one who disciplines the nations not correct them? Will the teacher of humanity not know? Yah is our teacher, okay? And he's letting us know that he understands people's thoughts. They're merely a puff of wind. What thoughts? What are you talking about, a person's thoughts? The things that come out of our minds? Meaning our plans. I'm pretty sure my uncle who died, he had a whole bunch of plans. But again, we found out that they're nothing but a puff of wind. They'll come and they'll go. Okay. But happy is the man or the woman or anyone whom you will correct, Yah. That's found in Tehillim. You will correct, Yah, whom you teach from your Torah. Giving him respite, meaning giving him some sense of comfort, a quick, a break from the days of trouble, because you're going to have those times until the pit is dug for the wicked. So Yah corrects those whom he teaches from the Torah. Okay. And because the idea behind being with Yah is to go through a path of correction, because that's the only way that you and I are going to return to Yah, is through correction. For Yahweh will not abandon his people. This is what he says. He will not abandon his people. Well, you ask yourself, I thought you said earlier that in the book of Jeremiah, or book of Deuteronomy, that he said he did abandon his people. Yeah, for a short time, but not forever. That's the good news, is that he will not abandon his people. He will not abandon his heritage. He may have taken a break from us, but justice will once again become righteous. This word once again is the word shuv. So again, justice will what? Return. Justice is going to return. And we know that when it does return, it's because Yahweh hasn't abandoned his people. When it talks about Yah abandoning us, and previously when he's not going to turn from them, turn my face from them, it's because they turned their face from him. But Yah's not turning his face towards a people who are turning against him. So what is Yah telling us today? I'm telling you that the Most High is letting us know that since you decided to return to me, and I don't have a scripture here, but I could pull it up for you, where he says, return to me and I'll return to you. We have decided to, again, to return to the Most High. Right? And then once this happens, he says, then, and all the upright, that's me and you, in your what? In your mind will follow it. So we need a certain type of mindset that is going to cause us to turn back to justice, turn back to righteousness, and then you and I are going to follow it. But only the people who are upright in their minds are going to do this. So how does a person become upright in their mind? They have to learn from Yah. They have to learn from the Most High. And that's the secret too. That's the secret sauce. Again, the Kiyad, the Zedek, and the Yashuv. There's your word. I want to put it in Hebrew so you can see it. It will return. Yashuv, right there. Ki, Ad, this is your eye, and this is the door. What does the eye of the door do? It opens and it repeats. So he's saying that the repeat on this will be righteousness. And then will return the judgment of Yah and those who follow after in all of Israel, and all who is upright, who are upright in what? In the lave right here, which is your mind. So this is going to be for those who want to repeat the process, who always have their eyes open towards Yah's word. That's who he's going to return to. Okay. Righteousness and judgment is going to return to that. Shabbat shalom to you. I have someone here. Someone put a new message. Let me see. It's just discipline on a scale larger than ourselves. Yes, it is, Lucas. It is. This is about being bigger than ourselves. This is about understanding what the Most High wants us to do. Yes, Akoti, Azania.
I just want to say another wonderful, wonderful, wonderful lesson. And it really resonated with me in the beginning of the lesson when you were talking about, and even I was listening to some of Thursday's lesson before class this morning to get caught up. I had my cousin come to visit me, so I wanted to get caught up, and you talked a little bit about the concepts of reincarnation and us being an eternal people, and so our past is our present, is our future, and it is because of who we serve and who is closest to us. And I just wanted to say to other people, I'm starting to realize, look into